Yep.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the New Jersey Libertarian Candidate Live. We go live every Thursday at 6:30, and pending schedules of the candidates, we also go live on Wednesdays and Fridays and kind of whenever we can to answer all your questions. So I'm running for District 24, which is Northwest Jersey, and my name is Lana Leguía. And Vic Kaplan here is running for New Jersey Governor. His Lieutenant Governor is Bruno Pereira, who can't make it tonight. And then we also have Dustin Maggard, who is in District 8 down south. And he also cannot make it tonight. So just going to be you and me, Vic, and that's okay. We started a little late because of technical difficulties, but we'll keep going until 7:30, which is the scheduled end time. If anyone has any questions, you can put it in the chat. You can email me. I have my email open here, or you can just message me. Or if you just have a comment, that's fine too. So how are you doing, Vic? Aside from the technical difficulties, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you. And how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing all right. So yesterday we were talking about the gun laws in New Jersey, and we kind of ran out of time. But I want to continue talking about that. So yesterday we talked about how basically just owning a weapon in your home without doing anything with it is illegal, which is insane to me. But I also want to ask your opinion on some of the regulation regarding storage of firearms specifically. And in New Jersey, even if you own a firearm legally, so you have a license to own it, when it's in your home, it has to be stored unloaded in a safe, and in a separate safe, the ammunition is then locked in that safe. So your unloaded firearm is locked separately from your ammunition, which essentially renders it useless. And that's also true for when you're transporting firearms. It has to be transported unloaded separately from its ammunition. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I don't think that the in terms of the weapons that they they have to be stored in a certain way. I mean, my issue is that I've heard stories before years ago that actually someone who's one of my relatives was robbed multiple times because first of all, he had no access to get his gun because it had to be like stored in a separate location in his store, and he actually had no. He couldn't carry it with him during all these robberies, so he could never actually use it in any way, shape, or form. So I don't have. I do have an issue with. I mean, I guess not my question. My issue would be, what is the point of having a gun, having a weapon, if you are unable to get to it in time to try to protect your property. I don't. So yeah, I definitely have an issue with that because um, I think any individual should be able to have an access to a weapon without having to go through like multiple through sort of a number of different barriers before being able to reach it. I definitely have an issue with that. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. I mean, anything that renders using your firearm in self defense impossible, which is what this law does, um, is an infringement of your right to self defense. And the logic behind this law, or at least one of the arguments I hear, is exactly that it makes it harder for someone to come in your home, or for a minor, or for a stranger who doesn't own that firearm, maybe doesn't live there, maybe your cousin or something that's visiting. It makes it harder for them to have access to that weapon. Or if you want to do something malicious with your firearm, it's an extra step that you have to do to get to your firearm, and then it's ammunition, and then put it together, etc. Which, like, so they admit that they have this law so to make it harder to use it. And so what is the point of owning a firearm, from my perspective, in New Jersey, when you have to read through all this law and you can still get in trouble? You have to carry it in a certain way, you have to store it in a certain way, you can't carry it with you anywhere, even if you have your carry permit. And then even if you use it in self-defense, you can still get in trouble. So what is the point of having a firearm at all? And that's the overall goal of the people who the legislators who put these bills into effect is that they don't want you to use firearms. They don't want you to have that right. And so I think that the whole thing needs to be scratched and not replaced with anything really. But that's my perspective on it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I mean, exactly what is, I mean, that's what I said before. What is the point of having having a weapon if you can't, if your access to it is highly restricted? I mean, the whole point is that, if your property does come under threat, that you should be able to, um, you know, use your weapon to defend yourself. If you can't have access to your weapon, if it's supposed to be like locked in a, I guess, safe or whatever. Yeah, I don't see really the point, right? I mean, if the idea is to prevent an individual, the firearm owner, from doing something malicious, well, then, I mean, first of all, if the person already has access to a weapon, it's not like it's not like that. It's not like that individual is going to be, stopped by having that barrier to the weapon from doing something malicious. I mean, I understand if this is about the kids, then there are other obviously ways to making sure that it's stored properly and that the children don't have access to it. And of course, if the parent is negligible, he can certainly be sued for that. But in terms of yeah, in terms of having access to a weapon, there shouldn't really be any barriers. I mean, if you're the owner, right, of if you own it, it's your property, you certainly should have access to it by definition. And and to me, it also goes against the libertarian principles, right? We believe that people, the behavior that should be criminalized should involve force and fraud. Owning a firearm by itself, obviously, by that definition, should not be a crime because you're not, the ownership of a weapon does not constitute the use of force or fraud, right? So it's just a weapon by itself. It's only when it's used to violate the rights of somebody, of another person, only in that case it should be a crime. I mean, under, of course, our classical liberal philosophy, for sure.
Yes, and of course there are, concerns of minors, getting a hold of weapons, and of course these tragedies do happen. And in that case, like if I had children in my house, young children who weren't capable of understanding what how to handle a firearm and how to use it, which people you'd be surprised how early you can actually introduce that to children. But they had very young children running around. I would not let them have access to it. I would keep it in a safe in a separate room that maybe it's locked. Like I would do all these things to prevent them from having access to it. But ultimately, laws that are supposed to prevent minors from having access to firearms and creating a situation where a tragedy would happen is not actually preventing them from happening. And if your child, if you're storing your firearms in your home irresponsibly with young children in a home and they end up killing somebody or killing themselves, you should be ultimately responsible for that as
Sure.
a parent and be charged with whatever they charge, manslaughter, neglect, child endangerment, whatever those charges are. But regulating how people store their firearms for the entire state based on something that could happen is just not necessary in my view.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, I mean, there already, we already have laws against negligence, right, coming from the parents, right? If they leave a weapon out, on a table, and you have a 3-year-old child, God forbid, but and that child starts playing with it, and then there have been cases like that, sadly, and yeah, in that case, really, the parent should be held responsible without any doubt. Um, Right. But that is, now when it comes to weapons, certainly. I mean, when it comes to age, I think we can, should be done at the discretion of the parents, of course. But I think we've, I was looking at some pictures of children in, I think it was in Russia, the little children. I mean, they were I think just very, very little, and having access to weapons when the child isn't even old enough to lift the weapon itself. I did kind of find it disturbing in a way, because I mean I think there's a certain age where handling firearms would all agree, certainly more appropriate. But I do understand, of course, that I understand that years ago, this was again many years ago, but I do understand that there were maybe in the generations ago, children would leave their they would go hunting. I mean, I mean, this is at a high school level, but they would leave their weapons in lockers. I mean, I've read stories like that, but this would be like many years ago. Certainly, responsible firearm ownership is something that can be taught and is being taught now. But that idea itself would seem to be totally crazy today, right? That you have students at a high school age doing that. But the reality, of course, is that if you look at a number of countries that do have draft, thank God we don't have a draft, but there's certainly a number of countries where they do have that. They do try to prepare students how to handle weapons in their towards the kind of end of their high school years, they don't. Again, this is where they're basically preparing them for the draft. We don't have one, and I'm certainly glad for that. But I do understand that in different countries they do handle that topic differently.
I've seen videos of children who were handling firearms that were clearly too heavy for them, and I agree that I think it's this very very individual to the child, because I've met 11-year-olds that are probably ready to learn how to handle one. And I've also met 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds that are not responsible enough to have access to firearms, right? Just in general, it has nothing to do with their physical strength, but just, their maturity is not there, and so they can't be trusted around firearms. But to me, it's never too early to teach a child that this is the gravity of a firearm. Like this is for adults, or this is for when you're older, or this is very dangerous, you can't touch it. Like, however you want to word that. It's never too early to teach children that, and we do that with other objects like cars. Cars are dangerous objects. You can't jump in front of them. Look before you cross. Like, we do that with other things. So there's no reason why we can't do that with firearms.
Sure.
And I do agree that a lot of times we introduce firearms to young people in preparation for war. That's probably going to start happening fairly soon. But I also think at some point in recent history, high schoolers had access to a marksman class or something like that, probably more for hunting reasons than anything, or just in general they enjoyed the sportsmanship of it, and it is a shame that they got rid of that in schools. And when we have a culture of kind of like firearms being part of your everyday life, it's you walk by the rifles in the cabinet every day since you were young. You go out with your parents and shoot or whatever. When it's part of the everyday culture and it's normalized, people aren't afraid of them, and they stop regulating against them. And I noticed that in New Jersey, we talked about this yesterday when I moved here. I don't understand the anti-gun culture here, because I come from a family, and also I've lived in states where it's just, they're everywhere. Everyone has one. It's on the wall. It's in your car. It's just everywhere. Everyone's aware of the gravity and what this item can do, and how to handle it properly, and how to store it properly. And it's rarely an issue unless you're incredibly irresponsible. But up here, people are afraid to even talk about it, even bring it up, and, we shouldn't have access to guns, period. And you should only have access to guns if you're a hunter. And if you're not a hunter, why do you need a weapon? And the conversations I've had with people about firearms and weapons in general and self-defense in New Jersey are really baffling to me, because they really think it's preventing crime by preventing people from being able to defend themselves. And the more you make firearms a scary topic to talk about, no one should have one, and if you do have one, you're a gun nut, there's something wrong with you. the more they're going to be afraid of it, and the worse it gets. And I see that in the generations that have passed in New Jersey. People just are afraid of guns. They don't even want to look at one.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. Yeah, it's just, I mean, our culture, well, certain parts of New Jersey, as I mentioned this before yesterday, is certainly different than, certain parts of New Jersey are certainly different than others. I mean, certain parts, you would have hunters and people who use their firearms, right? They hunt. So certain people they hunt bears. That is not. This kind of reminds me of that movie, My Cousin Vinny, right? That whole scene with you're gonna shoot a deer, right? But somebody, coming from New York City, right? Um, but no, I definitely agree. But that's, like I said, but I think this kind of a urban rural divide is certainly present in other states as well, not just in New Jersey. So,
So the next thing I wanted to bring up is something that hasn't been voted on yet. So for those who don't understand what or don't know what a ghost gun is, it's basically a 3D printed gun. I'm pretty sure most states, in fact, I think it's illegal on a federal level, but don't quote me on that because I'm not 100% sure. But in the state of New Jersey, ghost guns are already illegal. That passed a while ago. Okay. So there's a bill S3894 that has been bouncing around for about a year. And it makes it a crime to possess digital instructions to manufacture firearms or its components. So basically, not if you own a 3D printer, not if you have a 3D printed firearm, if you own on your computer or in your hand the instructions on how to manufacture a ghost gun, it's a crime. It's a very serious crime. What do you think about that?
no, I would definitely disagree with that. That would be if somebody had descriptions how to produce a homemade bomb at one's house, right? You could, I mean, with the instruction how to create it, would that be should that be criminalized? Like, yeah, I don't agree with that. The certainly.
You actually can end up on lists. Like if I were to Google
Well,
right
no,
now,
yeah, I understand that. I just don't agree with that.
you know.
One second. Yeah, give me 1 second. Hold on. Let me just 1 second. I'll be right back.
Okay, well, I guess because gone right now, but I did look up ghost guns are illegal federally. I was like 98% sure that was true. But so yeah, ghost guns are illegal federally. I remember there was a conversation about that not happening, but so yes.
Uh,
Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say that the just thinking about it out loud. Yeah, so I mean, I come to think of it, right? So because that would be like making it illegal to, you know, have any kind of directions rather how to create. I don't know whether it's like a homemade bomb or right. So I mean, if those things are not criminalized, right? Using ammonium nitrate to right fertilizer to create an explosive, like that would essentially make it criminalize any type of sort of written manual as far as um, you know bombs are concerned. So I would have an issue with that as much as I would have an issue of how to create a gun. I mean, I don't understand, like, if somebody, not I don't understand, but somebody wrote a manual about how to like make a makeshift, I don't know, gun, right? I mean, I don't like, why would making a homemade sort of a ghost gun, right? Why should that be more criminalized, or I mean, rather, why should that be criminalized when making any other weapon, is would not be criminalized, right? Like, to me, that would be like a double standard. I mean, if you're right, so I don't, yeah, I definitely don't think that should be criminalized, and to me, that just seems to go against the free speech, right? Um, that's the way I see it.
So Jim here always has knowledge nuggets to share. 2/3 of gun deaths are suicides. It's a handgun and a single bullet, and the other 30% are gang related due to the failed war on drugs. People should devote their time and money to groups like the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. They'll save more lives that way than having endless debates about assault weapons, high capacity magazines, and mass shootings. Jim Tucson is a very knowledgeable libertarian. I 100% agree with him that would go as far as saying that we shouldn't criminalize owning anything and only criminalize acts of aggression. So if I own a tank, I should be able to own a tank, for example, an extreme example like that, as long as I don't hurt anybody with it. Same thing with machine guns or quote unquote whatever assault rifles are. I looked up what New Jersey considers to be an assault rifle, and I giggled a little bit. I'm not an expert on firearms or firearm law, but it's overly complicated and overly regulated, and just all of it should disappear. And we should only criminalize acts of aggression against other people or other people's property. So if I take my firearm, I should need a permit, first of all, to own it, and I should be able to store it however I see fit in my home. If I go over to my neighbor's house and, I don't know, shoot up their fence and destroy it, well, that should be illegal, not owning a firearm without a license. But that we're a long way away from that in New Jersey, I think.
Right, no, I absolutely agree with you, and of course we did mention that yesterday as well, right? It's the act itself, the criminal act of using a gun, if it was to violate one's rights of life, liberty, and property, that should be criminalized, not the ownership of the object itself, right? So because the ownership, as I mentioned, I mentioned this yesterday, someone could have it could have the possession of a weapon. As a collector, it could be other reasons, right? Maybe a father passed down that weapon to his son, right? So I mean, it could be all kinds of reasons, and I mean, the object by itself is not is not responsible for any crime, right? It's only when individually using it that's when that becomes a crime. The criminal behavior individual is what is criminalized. I think criminalization of weapons by themselves doesn't make any sense from the. Well, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, it certainly criminalizes behavior that should not be criminalized.
Right, just like we were just talking about that bill about not just having ghost guns or the printer, but having the instructions to print them is illegal, which is insane to me. Because it's just like if you're and up where I live and also down south, we do have bears, we do have raccoons that are not nice. I mean, I think raccoons are everywhere, but like you live in more rural areas, you're going to have animals that want to do harm to your pets or to you. They have rabies, whatever. Raccoons is something that's very common in the United States, but also just in general, they run around. And I have chickens and rabbits, so very frequently do raccoons come in and they want to eat them. It is illegal to dispatch a raccoon. It's illegal to dispatch almost anything except for things that you must get hunting licenses for or permits for. And I also find that to be insane because, like I said, we do have bears sometimes. So if a bear just like wanted to go, most of the time bears are not looking to do harm. They're big and scary, but generally, if you make a lot of noise, they go away. But let's just say we have this bear that went insane and he's, knocking down my door. If I were to grab a firearm and shoot him, I could get in trouble, like big trouble. Just like owning certain pelts and skulls and bones and feathers, even if you didn't kill the animal yourself, is illegal. Like, I feel like everything in New Jersey is illegal to do. It's very hard not to get in trouble in New Jersey and in serious trouble. And then you end up in the justice system, and then we wonder why. That's a mess. But okay, so we only have about 15, 20 minutes left since we started a little late, which is fine. Something that we don't actually talk about very often on these live streams is AI. So what is your kind of general position on AI? And then I'll ask you more
Sure.
detailed questions.
Sure, of course. So now my general position on the AI is that it can be used for positive. Well, okay. So I guess I'll start with the negative. Well, there's definitely plenty of that. Certainly, when it comes to I think um, content creators, people who create original work, the fact that the AI is sort of replacing some of those. Um, Individuals because now you can create artwork using artificial intelligence, so that kind of becomes certainly a well undue competition, right, when it comes to artists. I also think that certainly AI, if people are relying on AI, of course, when it comes to internet, for example, it can connect to false and misleading information. So people assuming that AI gives you accurate information when it comes to social networks or internet in general, it can certainly give you false information and sort of convince people that something that is false is actually true. Um, I mean, there are other obviously sort of negative parts to the AI that I see, but those are kind of like the first ones that come to mind. There's definitely a more serious concern. There's also concern of using artificial intelligence to create false sort of representations of actual individuals and make people believe that and which would be done to mimic a person's voice and appearance, and would suggest that particular individual said something, or that person never said, and I can see how that could do real damage, especially if the AI in the future will become more um, um, sort of a perfect its qualities, and would then you really wouldn't be able to tell the difference between whether it's AI or a real person. I think that's a real concern for a lot of people. You want me to continue? Okay. So yeah, I'll just continue. So my other concerns with the AI would be that. Oh, okay. Um, so my other concerns. Hmm. So my other concerns with the AI would be that, yeah, like I said, so the AI has produced in the past. I mean, there was one study that came out of China. This was a few years ago, and I know that some people got a good laugh out of it, and supposedly it was proofread. It was peer reviewed by supposedly actual humans, and they just produced images. Let's just say that just made no sense whatsoever from the biological perspective, as far as you know organs are concerned and everything else. And I know some people got a kick out of it, but certainly AI is quite capable of producing something that is erroneous, false when it comes to science. So that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, I think that either you disappeared or I disappeared for a second,
Oh,
so I didn't hear your whole thing. So sorry
oh,
if you've already
sorry.
repeated something. But yeah. What's funny about false information with AI is I actually someone showed me that this live stream that we do. So we used to only do it Thursdays at 6:30 until I believe late, maybe September, maybe late August. I don't remember. But the AI actually said that the New Jersey Libertarian candidate live stream was Sundays at 8 p.m. And it's never been Sundays at 8 p.m. It's always been Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. And it's such a simple thing because we have it advertised on the website and our social medias, and it got it so wrong. And something so simple that it got wrong. I also think about, I believe this was in the UK, this family that almost died because they went foraging using a book that they purchased, who told them that this particular mushroom was safe to eat and it wasn't, and they almost died because the book was written by AI. It wasn't even a real author. It wasn't even proofread by an author or an expert in foraging mushrooms. So it's a real concern about information in general for me. where you can't really trust anything. Even think AI is getting a lot better at sounding human, even though I particularly, since I'm very anti AI, I can pick it out. But even videos and artwork are becoming more and more human looking. Music and art, I feel, are being completely ruined just from a like human experience perspective. The soul is not there when it comes to AI created music and art, and so it's a huge concern with artists. And there is a publishing company that I believe had some sort of goal last year, so they would be doing it this year, 2025, of publishing something like 8,000 books written by AI, and that's really scary to me because there's so many examples of AI just getting really, really simple things wrong and can have real consequences. Now, what if there's a book written by AI that is talking about history, right? Or is talking about something that can really do damage, right? In the long term. And, these publishers are also creating fake authors with fake names to make it seem like there's a human being behind it. And on top of that, AI is also creating titles and artwork to go along with these books that are essentially stolen from other authors, like this book about foraging mushrooms. The title and the author's fake name, right? Because none of it was real, sounded similar to a very well-known expert in food foraging. So it's essentially like stealing other people's work, but then doing it really poorly, right? So to me, I don't know why people are not more concerned about this when it comes to information and art and the internet. Like that internet theory is absolutely real. But there's also other things that are concerning, and there's the environmental impact. Let's see if I can find it here. I have it pulled up. But these AI data centers use up a lot of energy, not just electricity, but also water. Apparently, the amount of water they use is like, let's see if I have it here. It's like for 100-page. I can't find it. I have too many tabs open. I'm one of those crazy people that has like 200 tabs open on their computer. So asking the AI generative thing to make 100-word email apparently uses the equivalent of like one water bottle, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when 1 million people or 2 million people are using it every 5 minutes every day, like that's a lot of water. Is this is this something that you're concerned about, the environmental aspect of it?
Well, yes. I mean, I think that the parts that I mentioned that I find to be disturbing, like I said, I mean, just using the likeness of another person and making that certainly the using the water part, yes. I mean that certainly is concerning. I think the negative aspects of AI in general is, I think, what's concerning. I think that, I mean, AI is definitely something we can do without for sure. I mean, I definitely remember life before AI, right? It's not like it's, look, it's different than you say like life before the internet, because that's something totally different. I mean, the internet, I can see, can has a more positive impact, on our lives. Certainly makes it easier to, certainly made it easier to communicate and buy things online. I mean, it's without a doubt, it has made so many things better for sure. So overall, I view the internet as a net positive by and far, by a lot. But I think AI is something totally different. I think that is. I see AI more as a negative. I thought about it before, and I really see it more of as a negative than a positive. And I think the danger of the AI is that, I mean, we've already see the negative consequences of the AI, and my fear is that if this is, that there could be more negative consequences in the future as well. My issue is that I think that people are using AI, and AI, of course, gets information from the internet, that information may not be reliable. And as you mentioned, you gave one example, but it's not reliable. And I even found examples where that's not reliable too. So yeah, I'm definitely concerned about it. The environmental impact then makes it, I think, probably even more. The negative environmental impact probably makes it even more of the reason why I do find it concerning for sure. Because it was, I mean, just the parts that are not environmental are bad enough, and you got this added to the mix. I think this is, you know, I definitely think that this is something that I think it can be handled in terms of copyright laws. I mean, I think there should be some ways of trying to deal with it. But I think that in the future, as you mentioned, as AI becomes more realistic looking, I mean, I think the danger from the AI can be, can become more serious. And just, people start assuming that they're dealing with real human beings and not ones that created artificial intelligence. That can be a problem. I mean, I know that you just had a person that was created by AI who supposedly was an actor, and this person was getting, and this was in the news, was getting all kinds of offers from talent agencies. And this person was created by AI, and other people thought it was a real person. I mean, this is like, I can definitely see danger in all of this. Like, this could, you mentioned a book about mushrooms, and yeah, I definitely can see just this just going haywire, and people, reading and believing information that is false, and certainly, having negative consequences from that, because they would think that they're coming from experts. So there's, yeah, no, that's definitely something to be concerned about for sure.
So I do have it here. By 2027, AI could require 4.2 to 6.6 billion cubic meters of water. Now, who knows? Maybe that number is incorrect because maybe AI wrote this article. I don't know. But that's a real concern for me, especially since, I mean, I was kind of there when the internet first became a thing, as at least for non-military, non-government people, just normal people having computers and dial-up internet and all that in their homes. There's a huge difference, and I also think I agree with you that there is definitely negatives to the internet being invented and brought into the mainstream, but overall it's a net positive. However, even that is going away. Like, your experience on the internet is changing for the worse, because now, one, you can't trust anything you see or anything you read or even anything you hear, like music. My parents visited for Christmas last year, and we were just decorating a tree, eating cookies, whatever, just hanging out. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go to YouTube and put some Christmas music on. And I literally could not, I was there, standing there in front of the TV for like 20 minutes, and I could not find something that was not AI generated Christmas music. And I was like, what the heck is happening to music? Like, why can't I find this? And yeah, so they're producing bands that are 100% AI, down to interviews with these quote unquote singers. All over Spotify, there's bands that do covers of songs that are 100% AI, and it's just really scary to me. And people are starting to not really be able to distinguish, because they're not paying attention, between real people and fake people, and real people saying fake things, and fake people saying fake or real things, right? Um, like some of these generated pictures and videos of Trump that are clearly like jokes, but to some people they seem real, right? And it's only going to get worse. So it's a real issue for me, but that's just on a personal level. I don't necessarily think that should be regulated. But I do think that what should be regulated, and I'm saying this as a libertarian, most of the time we don't want things regulated by any sort of government authority, but when it comes to fraudulent pictures and videos, so when they're taking somebody who is real and then making videos or pictures of this person that is not real, that is fraud. And I think that should be illegal. Right? I think you should be able to own your likeness.
Right, I agree, and I think that, I think that, no, I 100% agree. Yeah, there's no no debate. Absolutely, of course, that's fraud, and yeah, obviously that should be criminalized. Yeah, without a doubt. So that's there's no
And,
debate.
and I've had a back and forth with other people particularly libertarians, about this. When we talk about, for example, RFK banning all these ingredients or wanting to ban these ingredients, and most libertarians are like, yeah, this ingredient's really bad for you, but it should be up to the consumer, et cetera, right? And I think at the very least, what should be regulated is being honest on your label. If you're putting rat poison in your, soda drink, you should put it on there, and then people can make the stupid decision to drink it, right? I think the same should be true for products that are being advertised using AI. I think there should be a label saying this video, this picture, whatever, this text was generated by AI. I do know that TikTok has that. If you come across a video that was AI generated, it'll say at the bottom left, I think, that this, AI something or other, a little label. But I think that should be kind of across the board on the internet, that it, because otherwise it's fraud, right? So I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, no, those definitely would be the ways to regulate it. I think if AI is using the work of other people, if it's when it comes to art, I think that if that's something that's copyrighted, I think the owners, the artists, should be able to sue. Like if the AI uses the finished product comes from the sort of the work of other individuals, then I think those individuals should be able to sue for copyright infringement. Like,
Yeah,
because
another
the AI has stolen work from other people. I mean, if this comes from the work of other people, then yeah, those that they should be able to sue. Like if you can identify where that information came from, then the original content creators should be able to sue, for sure. Yeah.
I agree in principle, but in reality, that's probably going to be really hard to do when it comes to art, because art can be so derivative to begin with, right? So that would be really hard to enforce. But luckily, the art community is kind of fighting back against it, and like when they have photography contests or art contests or whatever, they will deliberately ban people who are using AI. Or there are some big like art conventions that if there's a booth that is selling AI generated art, they get kicked out and banned. So I am happy to hear that the art community is not really welcoming AI art in general.
I also,
Another,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
I also want to say it really quickly is that I think that when it comes to actual writing, let's say the AI produces writing and it's based on original sources, then that could be, there could be lawsuits coming. I mean, because that would be because there's no citation being used. I could see how that also can be handled by lawsuits from the original creators as well when it comes to writing, right? Without sorry, I mean, it's plagiarism, right? So, but I think that can be handled that way as well. So, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, another concern of mine is that I don't know if this statistic is still true. This was true last year, and AI developed so quickly that this might not be an accurate statistic. But it was something like 94% of generative images and videos are adult themed, meaning that the majority of AI generated stuff is using other people's images and then creating, videos or pictures of them that don't really exist. And the problem with that is with these adult um, pictures and videos with somebody else's, a real person's face on it, once it's on the internet and once it's been dispersed through all these adult websites, you can't really undo that. And because AI is so realistic now, I can see this ruining people's lives, especially if you try to get a job, you're, right out of college, and that job, researches you on the internet, and they find these, there's actually people who have their images taken from like Facebook or just their face, and people are creating entire AI, um, what do you call it? OnlyFans, and they're making money off of these images and videos with somebody else's face on it. So they're not real bodies or acts, right? It's AI generated, but the person's face is real. So now you're making money off of somebody else's likeness, and that's on the internet permanently, right? And I'm not sure how we're going to necessarily fix that problem, but it's a problem for sure.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, I think that's we can go over time. That's fine. But I mean, this is really an interesting topic. I mean, we do know about individuals who have, for example, dumped, nude pictures of their exes online, and I know that there's calls to have legislation against that. Now, if the images that we're taking from real people, from individuals, well, real individuals, then I wonder if those individuals would have, like, there should be some kind of a ability for those individuals to sue, and of course, I won't have to know what is the source of the actual AI image, right? Like who did that, and I think there should be some kind of a way from the actual people that had their AI images based on, as you mentioned, only for OnlyFans and whatnot, being able to sue the whether it's the actual company, corporation and whatnot, for for fraud, as as you mentioned earlier.
Well, I assume the same thing would end up happening that has been happening with what, the example you use, which is, revenge porn.
Right.
So when things like that happen and they get uploaded to these major adult websites, I won't say them because I don't want it to get banned, but
Right. Right.
people will sue those companies
Mhm.
and they have zero obligation to take it down because a lot of these big adult themed websites are kind of the equivalent to YouTube, where they're not producing the content, they're just allowing a platform for other people to upload it. So they don't actually own like they don't actually control who uploads what. Right. And they've been sued also for having videos of, minors and people who have been trafficked and things like that. And they don't take them down. They take no accountability for it.
Mhm.
So if this starts happening, but not so much with real images that are unconsensually posted to the internet, but now we're taking regular people's Facebook profile pictures and then putting them on AI generated bodies and then uploading them. I mean, that's a mess, you
Right.
know?
Well, no, but I wonder if the judge can. No, I understand what you're saying, and I appreciate your input. But I wonder if, I mean, if the judge orders the company to take it down, I mean, shouldn't they? I mean, wouldn't they be able to take it down? I mean, I would think they would have access to it. I know you're saying they're not obligated to do it, but also I'm sure that a fine could be imposed, right? If they don't take it down. I mean, I'm sure there are ways to deal with the sort of with the company not cooperating with the judge's decision.
Yeah. Well, there's still, it's still like a conversation that's being had. And I think there's only a couple of states that have made, revenge porn illegal. I know New York is one of them.
Right. No,
Uh,
I'm just saying, as
so,
far as AI is concerned, I think, like,
right.
if it's not a law, because I understand the laws are evolving, and we had uh, the bill, and you remember, I commented on it, and you commented on it in the state legislature regarding the psychological abuse of uh, I guess the wives by their husbands, right? And so the point is that laws can be evolving, and I mean, and I think especially when it comes to something like this, something that's new, you can certainly have a law regarding AI when it comes to that. I mean, there's nothing to prevent, certainly, well, on a state level, well, a federal level. I mean, that's I mean, that's a whole other topic. But on a state level, because this would involve, and not because I don't see it being done on the federal level, but state level, I think it's more than appropriate to pass laws because it does involve fraud, right? I mean, you're taking the likeness of another person and putting it on the body of on another person's body, and this can certainly have, this is obviously fraud, and also going to have a negative consequence for that person, for that one individual. So, doing it, for using it on kind of specific websites or websites, adult websites, yeah, like I could see how it certainly can do damage to a person's reputation, and I'm sure that there would be people who would be certainly the victim, but also I can see quite a lot of people, regardless of their party lines, supporting this, because this would clearly be an example of fraud for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting conversation, and I hope people start demanding we legislate on it. I do. But I think we're going to stop there because we went a little bit over, and that's fine. So we go live every Thursday at 6:30. Wednesdays and Thursdays, we try to go live if the candidates are available. So if you have any questions for us, you can email me. You can put it in the chat. Even if you're watching this after we've gone live, you can still put the questions in the chat and we'll answer it next time. So Vicky, unless you have anything to say, any last words, last thoughts?
No, just thank you for watching, and please visit our websites. They're at the bottom of the screen, vicforliberty.com. Again, Vic Kaplan running for governor, and Lana Leguía, who's running for state assembly. Please visit her website as well at lanaleguía.com. Also, Dustin Maggard is running for state assembly, dustinforliberty.com. And again, we're looking for volunteers, donors. So if you'd like to volunteer, donate, please visit our websites. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So good night, everyone. We will see you next time.
Good night.